Hello, and welcome back to the Polyester Atlas, the international football shirt Zoomcast that critics are calling awesome, pleasant, and a bit too long. For this week's episode, as it's winter, we're taking a voyage to the Arctic Circle. Yes, like Roald Amundsen before us, we're venturing forth through freezing ocean to take a look at some of the most northerly football shirts around. As ever, the research crew of the good ship Atlas is led by England's captain Nick. Hello, sir.
Hello.
From Germany, we're joined by the most able of able seamen, Sasha. Hello.
Hello.
And from Scotland, I'm Joe the cabin boy, doing all the odd jobs and swigging grog from a barrel. Unfortunately, and perhaps somewhat ironically, our Canadian ship's navigator Eric, the only one amongst us who actually lives in a country in the Arctic Circle, isn't able to join us today. We can neither confirm nor deny rumours that en route to join the expedition, he crashed his ship into an iceberg because he was Googling 1990s African Cup of Nations templates and forgot to look where he was going. Now, in actual fact, the real reason for choosing a wintry, icy Arctic theme for the show is because we're joined by a special guest, an international shirt collector going for the FIFA 211, but who also specialises in Iceland shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us from England, we're pleased to introduce Adam. Sir, welcome to the Atlas.
Hello, thank you very much.
Now, we'll find out a bit more about Adam's Iceland obsession in a moment, but seeing as we did a whole episode on it last time, we should first perhaps just mention the winner of Nick's annual Shirt of the Year poll, which, fitting in with the theme of today's show, is a suitably wintry number. So, Nick, do you want to tell us a little bit about how this year's poll went?
Yeah, it was really successful. Had hundreds and hundreds of people taking part in our polls. The semi-finals, I'll basically start the same finals, I think, because we got rid of lots of the sort of decent but not spectacular shirts fairly early on. So first semi-final, Norway versus Saudi Arabia. So both of these were Nike shirts. The Norway one, I'm sure you'll pop this up on the screen. Really nice sort of ice-covered thing, a very bold design by Nike. Against polar opposite shirt, Saudi Arabia's covered in, were they palm leaf feathers?
I think we decided they were feathers ultimately, but yeah, they've got a sort of palm tree Hawaiian shirt kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's really very different to previous Saudi Arabia shirts, so I'm pleased that did so well. That was my personal favourite shirt, and it was just me voting that would have won it. But Norway went through to the final from that one, and in the other semi-final we had Nigeria against Slovenia. So Slovenia had their again really bold design with the three peaks on it, and Nigeria, everyone knows the Nigeria shirt with its crazy design. Nigeria went through to the final, but Norway beat them to become the 2020 champions.
Yeah, and I really like it. I'm a big fan of that Norway shirt, actually, but I think Sasha has a slightly different opinion of it.
Yeah, I totally hate it. I think it looks really, really cheap with the imprint or the full sublimation. I just don't like it at all. Like, all the other shirts were nice, but I completely disagree on the Norway one.
Sasha's wrong, so
that's okay. Yeah.
No, it's
Bloody democracy.
What did you think, Adam?
I mean, obviously both are great shirts. They wouldn't have got there otherwise. Plenty of people agree. I wouldn't have picked either of them to win it myself, but
what would you have picked?
Democracy. I was never sure, to be honest, from the ones that were nominated. I was quite partial to that Guatemala third kit from the very start.
Oh yeah,
that got first rounded, so evidently not a popular decision by myself.
My personal favourite was a Ghana shirt, and for me, it would be the shirt of last year. I think really, I just still think it's absolutely great. Haven't got one yet. In fact, I don't know anyone who has got one yet, but it'll happen. I
expected that to win.
Yeah, I thought it would do. I thought it would do better. I mean, the real winner's Nike, really, because all the semi-final shirts were Nike, and to be fair, they sort of deserve it, really, because they did a great job last year. Really great job. Their designs have been awesome.
Pretty much every shirt's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, totally. The whole bespoke thing. They said that they weren't going to do any templates, and they haven't. And It's made the football shirt world better for it, I would say.
Apart from Norway, I fully agree. Yeah.
Well, just find out a little bit about yourself and how you started collecting and all that sort of thing. So when did you begin collecting football shirts, and why?
I'm a bit of a newbie on that front. 2018, to be honest. It's in terms of the why. Well, international football was always something I was keen on, but the first time I needed a shirt was because I was playing like fairly regular work five-a-side football. I was like, well, I need a football shirt to play football in, and I'm not going to pick up a club shirt because why would you? So I got quite a cheap Japan one off Amazon, and I wore that for a while. And I just thought, well, can't just have that. Need to get a few other nations in.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so you pick up one or two. But really the thing I thought was, well, I'd absolutely love it if we could get some of the OFC nations, because, I mean, the Oceania Football Confederation, they're my favourite in terms of football, maybe less so in terms of governance. But, like, they're going to be impossible, right? And then I found someone's video on Twitter that promised to be part of their full video on their YouTube account, and they had all 211 shirts, Joe.
Oh, it's my fault. It's usually Nick's fault.
Yeah.
Normally everyone's like,
with it.
I found Nick's website and now I've spent thousands of pounds. So, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
well,
that may have encouraged me a little bit. And things only went downhill from there.
Downhill, uphill. I like to think uphill. So, yeah, at what point did you kind of realize that it was serious and that you were maybe going to try and get them all, you know?
It actually took me a long time to realize that. I seem to remember telling you specifically that I wasn't going for 211 when I asked you about a couple of shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was probably about mid-2019 is I finally set up a spreadsheet for all of my shirts, like which ones I have, which ones I don't have. And I went through and counted and like, I've got 120 of the FIFA countries.
And you're not even trying.
This isn't a small thing anymore, Adam. I was like, well, okay then, I'm in for it now. Let's just commit and go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest that once you've set up a spreadsheet, that's pretty much an indicator that you probably are fairly serious. That's a bit different from just having a few shirts in your cupboard. So, yeah, I mean, aside from that, you've kind of become the world-leading expert on Iceland shirts. Why is this why Iceland?
It's a question I've asked myself a few times, to be honest. When I got properly into worldwide international football, is I sort of picked a team from each confederation. Mm-hmm. So I started off the OFC in Tahiti. That actually weirdly came about through seeing a result on Yahoo Sport of them beating Samoa 10-1. I was like, well, if a team's beating another 10-1 in World Cup qualification, I've got to take a look at that sort of thing. And it sort of expanded out into all the confederations, and I'd pick a team and like kind of hope they qualify.
Yeah.
And in UEFA is, well, I'd always had a bit of a soft spot for Iceland. I mean, who couldn't with Heidegger Johnson banging them in day and night?
Yeah.
Right? But he's the only person that most people heard of from Iceland.
Yeah.
And I saw them in 2014 World Cup qualifiers, and they started off pretty well. So I figured, yeah, I'll follow them through it. Let's see if they can pick Switzerland to the post. Obviously, they didn't end up quite doing it. They got into the playoffs and got dumped out by Croatia. But that was sort of the start of the liking Iceland. And then obviously I start collecting football shirts, and I think, well, I like Iceland. They're European. They're going to be easy to get older shirts for. So, I mean, I've got to pick up the World Cup one, and I've got to pick up the Euros one.
Yeah.
Because the two major tournaments they've been to.
Yeah.
And then, so I found them, I picked them up. But while I was searching for them, I also found another shirt on there. And that was cheap, so I picked that one up. and it happened to be this design, not this actual particular one, but the one that's hanging on there. And yeah, then it sort of became a semi-regular thing to search eBay for, and things sort of spiraled from that point.
So how many have you got?
I think I'm just shy of 40 now.
Which is pretty good going for picking a random country. I mean, that's more than Nick's. Is it more than your Bhutan collection? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Also more than my Belarus collection.
I think it's more than my Scotland collection as well. I don't know. How many Canada shirts does Eric got? Because he's got a lot. But this could be one.
Yeah, I think he might be debate. Yeah. I think it might be close.
I mean, this must be one of the biggest sub collections, certainly amongst the national team collectors, and it's pretty impressive. So, which one's your favourite one? Do you want to maybe talk us through some of the best ones that you've got?
I mean, first one I've got to start with is the oldest one.
Okay.
So it's the 86 to 88 away shirt, obviously by Adidas. It's a classic Adidas template with the diagonal pinstripes of different colours.
Yeah.
The back's a little bit battered. Definitely not.
Is it worn?
Yep. Swapped with a Portuguese player. Not sure exactly who it was swapped with, but from a 1987 Olympic qualifier. So back when the Olympic teams were still the senior squads.
Portugal had the same design back then as well. They had like a red one with green and yellow.
But yeah, this one's actually quite special because number 10 was Gudmundur Steinsson, who was the captain for that game, and indeed the person who scored their goal.
Oh, great.
They lost 2-1, and obviously did not qualify for the Olympics.
Still great.
Still Iceland back in the 80s, but yeah, captain's shirt and goal scorer.
Quite a funky badge they had then as well.
Yeah,
I love that, yeah.
I mean, it's the original badge. They changed colours around a bit, but that's what they use. Well, they didn't quite use it on their shirts, but it's what the Federation had very, very much from the start. Changed in 1997.
Right.
I love the badge, and I think it's KSI, and K is the Icelandic word for football, which is unique as well.
That's been the Sambandis Landes.
Yeah,
I probably pronounced that terribly.
What is football in Icelandic?
Natspern.
Yeah, something like that.
Natspyryn.
So it's actually pretty funny because it's the only country that has a very unique word for the sport. Like it doesn't relate to any other language.
Yeah, there's a lot of Fs.
I think they just use football these days though, because I've tried searching for it. I think they've turned to using the normal word. Just show us that cool one on the right. That's everyone's favourite.
Yeah, I will bring that out next. This one, it looks fairly boring to you.
Yep.
I can get where if you understand that it's quite boring. Not bad though. This time off the transfer, which is very nice.
But the weave looks cool.
Yeah, it's got a pattern all across the fabric, standard Royce thing. And obviously, felt numbers from. Actually, no, that's the weird thing. It's a felt number on the front, a transfer on the back. Don't ask me to explain that. But it's definitely legitimate. It came from within the Irish FA somewhere. And that makes it match won for that game against the Republic of Ireland by Larasori Sigurdsson.
Oh, great.
Who played a good time for Stoke.
Yeah.
I believe a bit for Bolton as well.
Yeah, I remember him playing for Stoke, certainly.
Didn't Stoke have some Icelandic owners?
Yeah, they got taken over by some Icelanders, and they bought basically every Icelander who was capable of playing League One, Championship, Prem quality, and just dumped them all in the squad. It does help. Led to a few more Iceland shirts around.
Yeah, of course. But
yeah, this one's special because they wore it so little. It's an intermediate shirt, essentially. Between their days with ABM and their days with Royce. And I can only presume their latest Royce shirt, which was this design, wasn't ready yet. So they used these for a few games. It's the only one I know of in the modern era that, at least that I know of, doesn't have an away equivalent. Because they only wore it for 4 or 5 games sort of thing.
Excellent one to have. Yeah, now this
Then,
one.
yeah, if we're going for 3 shirts, as Nick says, you've got to go for the icebreaker shirt, the classic one.
Yeah.
This one was the first one I got my hands on of the icebreaker lot. XXL, like pretty much all of them were. They're all freaking massive. And
What year was that?
This is 2002, 2004.
Right,
This is
okay.
the Euro 2004 qualification and a few friendlies. This particular one was won against Latvia in a friendly by Merrill Baldwinson, whose international career, shall we say, was unspectacular. 7 caps as a striker and 0 goals. He played, I believe, the full 90 minutes against Latvia, and, well, from everything I can find about that game, nothing happened. So
another great shirt to have.
Oh, it's a beautiful shirt to have.
Yeah, it
but
absolutely is.
In terms of its use, nothing happened.
It was probably the best thing about the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've no idea why they played Latvia in a friendly. I've no idea why that happened, but it ended 0-0.
Well, it's not one of the most ridiculous friendlies. I mean,
they played Iran, didn't they, around a similar sort of time? Because my mate Helgi travelled out there to Iran to play in that game.
Oh, really?
He said that all their phone calls were like bugged and everything. They had to make sure that they were, yeah.
Well, wow,
I've had a weird number of friendlies against the UAE. I'm not entirely sure why.
I love those random friendlies. I was like searching around to try and find. I've got a Sweden away shirt, and I was trying to find when it had been used, and the only time it was used was for a friendly away in Jamaica, and you're like, what?
Oh yes.
What is that? And I think it was a 0-0 draw as well. Maybe it was 1-1. I think it was a 0-0 draw. Can you imagine going all the way from Sweden to Jamaica to play a friendly, and it's a 0-0 draw? You know, like that just seems like one of the most pointless exercises in international football I can possibly imagine.
Well, it's not going to be an easy place for the Swedish team to play, is it?
Well, you would think not. You would assume
Iceland played against South Africa in that. I
yeah.
guess it would have been in Europe, wouldn't it? In that France '98 pre-tournament thing, because we finally found a photo of South Africa wearing their away shirt.
That's right. So, have you got any particularly good stories about how you got any of these? I mean, I assume you've been chasing Iceland players all around the internet and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is I haven't really gotten any shirts from that, but I have some really weird stories of getting in contact with some of them.
I reckon I've got a weirder one, but I'll let you tell yours first.
I mean, you've got a weirder story for pretty much anything. You're like you and Sasha. This one ended up getting involved in the contact. So obviously I wanted to get in touch with Børke Christensen. So he holds the goalkeeper cap record for Iceland, jointly now with Hannes Haldorsen. But yeah, he played in the 90s. He had his last friendly in 2004 and like just disappears basically since then, aside from a few news stories that I promised not to mention to him when I asked to speak with him. But yeah, getting in contact with him was going to be quite difficult because obviously former footballer, he's not involved in football anymore, so he just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
But I found a news story. I found some pictures of him at the 2018 World Cup. And then I found a news story of how he got there, which is he's friends with the CEO of Iceland's biggest water company. And then I found a very obscure story that suggested he was doing consulting work for them. So naturally, I just emailed the head office of said company and said, look, I've seen this. Would you know how to get in contact with the man? And I got back a very confused email from this random secretary who said, well, yes, but what? So I had to explain, I just want to talk to him about his time with Iceland and maybe if he's got any shirts, like asked to buy them. And yeah, as I say, sadly, his collection is very much his.
Right.
Certainly didn't agree to sell any of them. There's some beautiful shirts still in it. But like while I was having that conversation, this came up on eBay, which is his, or was his rather. That he handed over to the Bolton Wanderers kit man. And I got it for a song. And I thought, well, I suppose I've kind of got to offer it back to the bloke. It was his. But thankfully, he has one still in his collection. And he said that I'd keep good care of it and let me keep it.
All right, good.
I'll tell you my story.
Yeah, go on.
So Helgi Daniel, I'll do it really quickly. Helgi Danielsson used to play for Peterborough United back in about 2000-ish. And I followed him on MySpace long before Twitter and Facebook was a thing. And he didn't mention anything about football. All his MySpace was about his guitar projects and stuff. So he had like a death metal solo project called
Nice.
Sense of the Woods, I think it's called.
Nice.
But he also had some cool video of him playing the Shot in the Dark on acoustic guitar. So I messaged him saying, "Can you send me the tabs for that?" So he
Aussie's Shot in the Dark.
No, the Pink Panther theme.
Ah, gotcha.
It was Shot in the Dark, I think. And he literally wrote up the tabs for me. And he's like this international football player. Played for AIK at the time, I think.
Brilliant.
In Sweden. So he sent me those tabs, and we just sort of got chatting. A few years down the line, I was getting really into doing some artwork and stuff. And for some reason, I used his MySpace picture as a piece of artwork, and it was a picture of him drinking out of a shoe. Anyway, so I made 2 versions of this, and I contacted him saying, "By the way, I've done this. Do you want one?" So he was like, "Yeah, sure. Next time I'm in Peterborough," because his wife's from Peterborough. So he popped around my house and picked it up.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's hilarious.
I did get a couple of shirts, not Iceland shirts, but I got a match-worn Germany shirt and a match-worn Poland shirt, which he'd left around his mother-in-law's house.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, nice bloke. He now works for a chemical engineering company in Iceland, I believe, because he's got a master's in chemistry.
Brilliant. Good on him. Dolph Lundgren's got like a master's in chemical engineering as well. Maybe it's a Nordic thing. Maybe they make really good chemical engineers. So, Adam, what's your ultimate goal here? Are you trying to collect every Iceland shirt ever? Are you wanting every goalkeeper shirt ever as well? I mean, how ambitious are you about this? Evidently quite ambitious.
I mean, as ambitious as I can be. The 80s one was really, it was there, and I really didn't expect to ever see one from that far back. The original sort of stretch goal, as it were, was going to be every shirt since 1990.
Right.
And I've pretty much got that from home shirts now. I am missing one, if you count a specialist women's shirt that was worn twice. And another one, which again was worn so few amount of times and is a bit of a holy grail of mine.
The away icebreaker.
No, I've got sort of the away icebreaker. That came in 2 different things. But in terms of home shirts, what I'm missing is the really rare France template with the like stripes things. Iceland wore that template. Indeed, wore it against France. But they wore it in so few games, and like if I could get my hands on one, I'd pay so much money.
So that's what, late 90s?
Early 90s,
Early, yeah.
91, 92.
Oh, right.
They wore it in a friendly against the UAE, so I've got no chance there. Friendly against Malta, and I've contacted about half the squad that played in that game, and they've all ignored me on Facebook.
Standard. Yeah.
They've used the away against France, and I looked down that list and I thought, all these people that might speak to me if I asked them. Eric Cantona, Laurent Blanc, maybe not.
My uncle was in a film with Eric Cantona, so there you go. He played Sleazy Bar Creep number 3. Not even sleazy.
That Finding Eric thing, or is it?
No, it was some totally random film that had it had Mike Reed, who played Frank from EastEnders. Frank, you remember him? Maybe not. It had Rula Lenska in it, and it had Eric Cantona in it. I've actually never watched it. I've got the DVD, but I've never actually watched it. But I know it's there. One day I'll get it on and try and work out who Sleazy Bar Creeps number 1 and 2 are, and if they were any better at being sleazy bar creeps than my uncle, who for some reason only got number 3.
I once had beers with Christian Carambeu, who
cool.
you might know. If he was in the match, let me know. I think I have his email address somewhere.
I don't think he was. I think that might be a bit early.
It was on a conference where he was also a speaker, and somehow the guy organizing it put everyone in CC, not in BCC. And all the others were like world champions in basketball and stuff like that. So,
And then you ended up with all their email addresses.
yeah, so I now have the Gmail address of Christian
It
Karrenberg.
sounds like a GDPR breach to me.
Yeah, massive, massive, mate. If we'd done that at my work, we would have been shafted.
He was a nice guy, though.
Yeah, wrong Pacific French footballer. Pascal Vahirua played in that game, but Karen
sorry.
didn't.
I mean, obviously, you're kind of a fan now of Iceland, like a kind of a proper fan. So, I mean, you're an Englishman. I mean, Iceland's recent history with England, you know,
I supported them in that game.
there's some beef there. Iceland.
I'm not ashamed to admit it.
You supported Iceland. Good.
I'm not ashamed to admit that.
You're committed to it.
Not too loudly. The pub I was in was not a great place for someone supporting Iceland, shall we say.
Oh, I can imagine. Blimey.
I certainly wasn't wearing an Iceland shirt for it.
Yeah.
Typically, I will default to supporting the underdog in a match.
Yeah, me too.
And with how England were playing, I felt to support football, I couldn't support England in that, and so I didn't.
Well, good on you.
So can I jump in and even severe that debate? Because I did my preparations for this episode, and Iceland indeed is in the Arctic Circle because they have a tiny island called Grimsey, north of Iceland, and there is another island called Kolbeinsey, which is disappearing quickly. And it wasn't clear if it is still existing until last year, until a YouTuber went there with a private chartered helicopter flight. And over that island, the UK actually had what the UK media called the Cod Wars, because Iceland and the UK both wanted to fish there.
Okay.
And Iceland won that war. So
all three of them
lost the war against Iceland. Well, it was only about cod.
Yeah, if you want to get technical, all three Cod Wars were soundly won by Iceland.
But the thing is, there is a silver lining. Like, this island will disappear in the next probably 10 years. Yeah. So then you might have the next Cod War.
So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your collection, or?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every home shirt since 1990. Away shirts are kind of sparse on the ground, partly because in the early days they seemed almost allergic to using the things. It took to getting hold of the actual FA's archives before I discovered that some away shirts even existed.
I love that you've gone to those lengths. I think that's brilliant. So if anyone happens to be watching this and they happen to have a rare Iceland shirt for sale, then they presumably should contact you because you may be interested.
Yeah, feel free to get in touch with me on Twitter. I imagine the tweet link will come at the end, but at ShirtQuest.
Okay.
Or find me by searching for Iceland football shirt. I'll probably show up near the top by now.
I would think so. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. That's amazing. It's an amazing sub collection. Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed by your dedication to it. I have to say, it's fantastic, because I think we all get into sub collections from time to time. And, you know, Nick's got a million Bhutan shirts, and obviously I'm Scottish, and so I kind of got into Scotland shirts. But you've really taken it to impressive lengths, and yeah. I think you
sort of kept cropping up.
It just sort of happened.
Shirts do that. They have an annoying tendency to crop up.
Okay, as we've been talking about, today's episode is an Arctic Circle special. Now, there aren't very many countries that are incorporated into the Arctic Circle, but we have all chosen just a couple of 2 or 3 shirts from our collection that are from some of these Arctic nations. So, yeah, Nick, do you want to go first and show us what you've got?
Yeah, sure. I've got a handful of shirts, and they're all from the same Arctic nation. I picked these up recently from a collector I've bought from a few times before. He used to specialise in Finland match-worn shirts. I don't think he does it anymore, so he's been selling off a few of his collection. So Now, Finland are renowned for having fairly dull shirts.
Yeah.
But I've got a bit of a thing recently for 90s Adidas templates. So these sort of tick that box. So we've got this this shirt here with its beautiful netting down the side. There are lots of teams who have that design. I think this might be about 2001, 2002, maybe.
I've got the away shirt of this one. It's the dual layer guy, isn't it, with a weird vest inside it?
Right, here you go.
That's it, yeah.
Although I think mine's from possibly a reserve team or a youth team or something, because it does have a sponsor.
I think mine was worn by a Crystal Palace player called Aki.
We have the same number, mate.
No way.
I don't know who it is, but it's likely not to be the same player, just because mine's got the sponsor on it.
I just love how instant Sasha was with that as well. Just like, no.
It happens an amazing amount on this that we all have the same idea.
Mine's a number 6, I think.
The real reason I chose that I bought these shirts though was because I have a little sub collection of this particular template. And I think the Finland shirt is particularly hard to get hold of. I don't know if they made replicas at all of this. I mean, it's a template with a badge sewn onto it. So in terms of football shirt, it's nothing special, but
it's
awesome.
rare. Yeah. That's the template that the Sweden away that I was talking about is.
Yeah, you've got the yellow.
Yeah.
I think you've got yellow bits in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I still haven't got that one yet. Also, I think this one's slightly more up to date because the material's not that. This isn't that material that goes really bobbly.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them, like I've got the Norway one that certainly does.
Yeah, mine's bobbly. It's not in good condition, that Sweden shirt at all. Probably still worth quite a bit though, because I gather they're quite rare now.
Yeah, I still need it. I'm going to have to pay a bit for it at some point.
I like that you say it's just a template as well, Nick, but it's probably the most interesting shirt Finland had up until the latest design.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, they've got a few, like they were with Adidas for a long time through the 80s and the 90s, I think. Just off the top of my head, that is. And so they just went template every time. But some of the 80s ones are quite nice, but the badge is just dull as well. There's, nothing special about them.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that. So, Sasha, what have you got for us?
So I will do a tour once around the Arctic Circle, basically. Starting in Canada with this match-worn beauty. It's from the 50th anniversary CONCACAF Gold Cup match-worn from the tournament. And again, I mean, this is one of the shirts where you ask the seller about the story, because it's worn by Nick Ledgerwood, who played in the 2nd division in Germany for Cottbus. So I bought it from a seller in that area, and he happened to be a mate of him. So
Brilliant.
That's how a match-worn Gold Cup shirt ends up somewhere in East Germany.
That's fantastic.
And then next would be this Russia shirt.
Yeah, it's a
which
good
I
one.
think is an absolute beauty. And something very funny happened today, because I got this out as a preparation and then Googled this shirt for the very first time, probably. And I never had any idea what this pattern actually is. Yeah, it's just some odd pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's what it actually is. It's the Museum of Cosmonauts in Moscow. And that's actually a picture I shot when I was there 2 years ago for my honeymoon.
Which is fantastic.
It's absolutely enormous, like it's massive. And it's a little rocket up there. And yeah, inside there is a monument to the space history of the USSR and Russia, and also the US. So it's quite a nice museum. I can only recommend.
Does your shirt have the little rocket on the end?
I don't think so, no.
That's really cool, though. It's great that you never even noticed either.
No, I had no idea. But if you ever are in Moscow, definitely go there. It's in actually a theme park called VDNH, which is like an expo, but just with former Soviet states.
Oh,
so
cool.
You have a Kyrgyzstan pavilion, and you
cool.
can have Kyrgyz food there. And yeah, it's Soviet Disneyland, but it's amazing.
Awesome.
And then finally, I want to add 2 Iceland shirts, which look pretty similar and which we all knew.
Hmm.
And I think the spectacular part is that these are both match worn. So
Yeah,
this one is
great.
coming from a match against Portugal in the Euros in France.
I just got a match prepared one of those.
And this one is from the actual World Cup in Russia.
Fantastic.
Also coming from the actual World Cup. And yeah, I do have a very strange relation to Iceland because I think 7 years ago, I asked them for a football shirt and they just randomly sent me this one, which is also match worn. But they never replied to my email. I just 2 months later got an envelope with the match worn shirt. No text in it, nothing.
Just the shirt.
Yeah, just a shirt. So I sent them an email again and they sent me another match worn shirt, which I gave to a friend. And now that they qualified to the World Cup, I sent them an email again saying, look, my collection grew a bit over the years. And it seems that Iceland football grew a bit as well. Is there any chance to get a more recent shirt of you? And again, I got an envelope with a match-worn shirt from the Euros and the World Cup.
That's amazing.
Oh my
And a
God.
ticket from the World Cup.
That's amazing.
And no comment whatsoever. It's just having a paper in it saying greetings and then the name of the guy.
That's absolutely brilliant.
That is 100% the Icelandic FA and Icelanders in general. They are friendly to a fault, but getting them to actually start talking can be very difficult.
I absolutely love them. Like they but they somehow don't communicate. They just send you match-worn shirts.
I had a similar thing with New Caledonia. I sent them an email asking if they had any shirts, and they didn't respond. But randomly, about 3 months later in the post, they sent me a keyring. I still use it. It's a great keyring.
That's fantastic. I mean, almost. That's one of those so close but so far stories, isn't it? Really.
They probably like over-ordered on these keyrings, and they're like, "What are we going to do with these? Send one to the other side of the world without telling them." Yep.
Yeah, why not? So yeah, Adam, have you got anything other than Iceland shirts that you want to chuck into the Arctic Circle?
Got a few Iceland, so I mean, I can match Sasha's Euro shirt, although not actually done for the Euros, and I can also match Sasha's story for sending off paragraphs of text to the Icelandic FA and getting some shirts back and nothing in the form of communication.
Oh, great! That's the new one.
Yeah, these are player spec shirts, but no numbers or patches or anything like that. So they're just spare ones that never actually got used.
And they send them to you?
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Sent two across to me.
Anyone get the feeling that the Icelandic FA is going to get a bunch of emails?
Reckon so. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
how do you say sorry?
How
do you say sorry in Icelandic?
You type.
Not sure.
The thing is, I think I wrote that on my blog as well, and I also wrote the first name of the guy who I wrote my email to. And I know at least 10 other people who tried it, and they all got a match-worn shirt.
Oh my God.
Like, they don't care if they get a bunch of emails.
That's
they
fantastic.
just send out shirts.
Well, maybe I'm going to email them now. That's great. Do you know, I wanted an Iceland match-worn shirt for ages, and then I didn't realize it was just a case of asking for one.
Yeah, I think from my response, I've calmed down a bit from the World Cup. I think they've got a few too many contacts. Thanks to Sasha.
I would imagine so. So do you have anything else for us, or?
I do have just the one that I thought was quite special from Arctic Circle. We're going back to Canada.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolutely beautiful Canada shirt. I think we only have photos of the youth team wearing these. But God, they are pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful, proper. Yeah, Eric would be all over that.
Yeah,
there you go, Eric. That's for you.
When Umbro did things right.
Yeah. Umbro were brilliant in the 90s.
Then Canada went on to have a massive string of really boring shirts.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's it. My first one is another Russia shirt and another one of the deep red Russia shirts, because really I just think that Russia, I don't know, they wear like normal red now, and obviously that sort of makes more sense in terms of their flag and stuff, but I'd loved it when they wore the more sort of burgundy red. And I just think this one is an absolute genuine beauty. And actually, before I even collected football shirts, I remember seeing Russia play in this shirt on TV and thinking that is a brilliant shirt and I'd really like one of those. And that was before I had any football shirts at all. So it was one of the first ones that I got, although the one that I originally got was extra large and without a number. And then another one came up in a decent size and I bought that. And then another one came up with in a decent size with a number. So I bought that as well. So I've actually got 3 of these, but I just love it. I just think it's a work of art, really. The heat pressed paneling is just absolutely beautiful. And it's something that Adidas did a little bit of, but maybe not enough of. They did it with a Scotland shirt as well. But I just think it looks so cool and classy. And the badge on this is just awesome as well. I just think everything about this is pretty great, really.
For me, very Adidas, is it? They've
no, not at all.
They don't normally do that sort of design, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, they went really ostentatious on this for some reason, and it was just a bit like, yeah, well, why don't you do a bit of that more often, you know? Second up is a classic, and it's brilliant in an entirely different way. It is, of course, this magnificent effort, 90s Umbro, which, I mean, like, it's kind of so bad it's good, if you see what I mean. And, like, I genuinely love 90s Umbro, and it's not very often that they drop the ball. But for this, they kind of dropped it so hard that it bounced really high again, if that's a metaphor that I'm going to string along.
It's that ridiculous bit at the bottom, isn't it? Like, if you scroll... Why have they done that?
I just love it. They did it for all of their 90s shirts from this year. Like, if you see the Forest shirt from this year, it says Nottingham Forest.
And
Celtic
I think have it as well.
Yeah, I don't know why they felt the need to do that for people who were obviously really, what was that, far-sighted or nearsighted? I can't remember what, but certainly this has got everybody covered.
Are you absolutely sure it's a Norway shirt? Does it say it enough times on it?
Yeah, I think that's right. Does it have enough badges on it? You know, Norge, flag, badge. Like,
at least, unlike the Forest shirt, at least they spelt Norway right.
Yeah, that's true. Fantastic. But I just love it. I mean, this is just terrible. What is with this detuned TV pattern going on the sleeves? I mean, it's like the color scheme is, yeah. I mean, like, okay, these colors can work together, but like not really when you do this to them, if you see what I mean. It's just, and the flying in sort of Star Wars font clip art sort of thing. It's just like, it's so 90s that it is just fantastic and magnificent.
I'm not aware that they did it with any other team, that style with the lettering coming down. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I don't remember ever seeing it on another shirt either. But it is just so funny that it's like Norga.
I think that's the only reason it works. If they'd have done it with literally anyone else, it would be a pattern. It'd be like, no.
Yeah.
But this is just so out there.
Somehow Norge just seems like such a funny word as well. Like, I don't know. Obviously, it's probably Norge in Norwegian, but I don't know. In English, it just sounds...
Also short enough. I mean, try doing that with Saudi Arabia or Central African Republic.
Liechtenstein. Totally love it. Anyway, yes, so that's my second Arctic Circle shirt for sharing. And finally, it's a non-FIFA shirt. It's Greenland. And
well, I've got the shirt.
Oh, you got it, yeah. I mean, it's got a number on. I don't think it's a No, I don't think it is. I was going to say I don't think it is match worn. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, it's got a name on the back as well. I'll check that in a moment. But yeah, I mean, it's
name on the back would imply probably not.
Yeah, that was what I thought. Yeah, I think I looked for pictures. I think the name is Skade.
Skade.
Yeah, Skade.
He's Greenlandic. I know the Skade.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a player, but I'm pretty sure it's just been added on as a replica. I think. But what's funny about it is that if there's anything that makes a statement about the global reach of capitalism, it's a Greenland shirt that's got Coca-Cola stamped on the front.
The National League's the Coca-Cola Championship as well.
Is it really? Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean,
certainly has been for some
it is
years.
sponsoring done right. I mean,
it works
it
in
just
terms of color
perfectly works.
scheme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally. Branding. Yep. It is kind of perfect.
And then it's got that weird random like little X on the sleeve. I don't know if you've got sleeve detailed photo.
I don't-
know if the number
I
is
think
there.
that's the logo of the Arctic Games,
Oh,
Is
if
it?
I'm not mistaken.
I mean,
Because I never managed to get any other shirts from the Arctic Games teams, but there is actually a tournament
I've
called
not
the Arctic
managed to.
Games, which would be perfect for this episode.
yeah, fantastic. Who else
So the
played in it?
Greenland is playing, and Nunavut from Canada, and a couple of other, I think a Russian Siberian region is playing in it. So several regions from the Arctic Circle.
Right.
Um,
Does anyone know what the current status is of Greenland in terms of FIFA? Because they, a few times it's
yeah,
been,
they are out.
Yeah.
is it just not going to happen?
No, it's not going to happen. But I have a very funny story to tell about Greenland and the Arctic Games, because they hosted these in, don't ask me for the year, but they hosted these. And one of these are all Arctic sports. So they are doing stuff like high jump without moving. So you stand and then you basically have to put both your legs up to kick something as high as possible. So these are
Fantastic.
some weird Nordic sports that nobody else does.
Puncturing
Whaling.
seals.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Kind of. Yeah. And yeah, one of the sports that has to be in the calendar is ice hockey. But Greenlanders hate ice hockey, so they don't play it. For
Why?
some reason. I don't know. They play football, but they never played ice hockey.
Just not enough ice around them.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, that
Only
must,
90% of the country.
that must be it. Yeah, absolutely.
So when they hosted the games, that was a requirement, and the Arctic Games imposed on them that they have to have ice hockey. So what they did is they flew all the ice hockey teams to Greenland for the opening ceremony, and then flew them to Canada, to Iqaluit.
To actually play.
Yeah, which is $1,000 a one-way ticket, and then flew them all back for the closing ceremony.
God,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
And that was about a half of the whole budget of the tournament. That's what the Greenland FA told me.
Oh my God. I mean, what I find funny about Greenland football is it's a country of 836,000 square miles. And they've played the Isle of Wight 5 times and only managed to beat them once. And the Isle of Wight is like minuscule. I mean, it's just tiny. It's probably got more people
Yeah.
than Greenland, I
I
would
was say,
bet.
that's what you get when you got a population of 50,000.
Yeah. But it's just hilarious in terms of like relative land mass. It's like the old Guam beating India thing that we mentioned a few episodes ago. You just got to love it when that kind of thing happens.
To be fair, though, Greenland has improved. They've been to the finals in the men's and women's football tournament of the last Island Games,
Oh, that's good.
and lost both to the Isle of Man.
The
They've
Isle of
been really
Man.
active
There you go. So that's it for another episode. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you on again at some point, possibly maybe to talk about Oceania, which I know is another one of your big passions.
Certainly a region I really love.
And we'll have a new arrivals sub-episode out in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, you can get in touch with the show by leaving us a comment on YouTube or messaging us on Twitter at Polyester Atlas. So until next time, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.